something wrong with the weather. I think it's broken again. It's like been sunny for days and days, and it's like warm, and in fact it's hot, and it's beautiful. I mean, doesn't Mother Nature know that this is a British summer? That it's meant to be rainy and cold? And there's a typhoon coming into land, but he's obviously going round again. Anyway, it's a beautiful day. Take it while you can get it. And whilst I'm raising my glass, I will raise a little toast to Mr. Murray, who yesterday was the first British male player to lift the trophy at Wimbledon in like forever. Was it 77 years since the last one won? Here's to you, Mr. Murray. I don't really watch tennis, but yesterday it was kind of unavoidable. So, as you can see, we have some things on the bench here. We'll start with the Fokker, because the Fokker is in fact the catalyst for this video. As you can see, it's been painted. Hasn't been deckled yet, but it's been painted with its lovely mix of satin, or semi-gloss, matte and full gloss, which will obviously, once there's a matte coat on there at the end of the day, it'll balance out. So yeah, it's been painted, just about to be deckled and then weathered, but that'll probably take quite a few weeks yet. So it's in the final stages, but it's nowhere near done. But this was a very, 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 very time-consuming process. Masking, spraying, letting it cure, masking, spraying, letting it cure. Actually, never, ever, 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 to the power of ever, use Humbrol Maskol to mask for camouflage patterns. Well, I'm never ever going to use it again, because I did use it on this. And when I peeled it off, expecting a nice little lovely smooth line, I just peeled the paint away as well for some strange reason. I don't know whether I got the mix wrong, or I don't know, but I'm never ever using it again, because I had to go and remask and respray. This has taken about almost 2 weeks to get to this stage. It's 4 colours. And as I say, it was quite a time consuming process, and in between times, because it was like a couple of days before I could go back and redo it, I kind of thought, well, is there anything I could be doing in the meantime? So I thought, well, maybe something small, something nice, something easy. So I went to the stash and I actually pulled out the Airfix's new tool, Hawker Typhoon. But, as it turns out, I don't have RAF Cockpit Green. I've got every other colour of cockpit colour, but I don't have the RAF one. One that I do have though is Imperial Japanese Navy Green, or Nakajima Green, which led me inexorably, or invariably I should say, to the new tool Airfix Zero, which I thought, you know what the hell, let's just have some fun, we'll throw this thing together right out the box. I won't bother doing any super detailing as such. I did add seat harnesses, because you're allowed to add seat harnesses in a competition if you're entering into the standard class. You can, there's the there's the detailed class, but even in the standard class you're allowed to add seat harnesses. So I had some seat harnesses from a spare kit, spare from another kit I should say. I did the gun sight as Airfix supply. It's just this little rectangle of plastic, so I cut that off and put a little bit of acetate on it. And the only other things I did to it were things that I'm probably going to do to just about everything from here on in, which is replacing the wingtip lights, cutting them out and then sticking a little blob of clear sprue and then sanding it down, smoothing it down, and if there's a tail light. And also the pitot tube, I replaced that with the Albin Alloys, the very, very fine micro tube. Just keeps it a wee bit more scaled. But other than that, it's built pretty much right out the box. I didn't bother doing anything to the cockpit other than just painting it. I drilled the seat. The seat has indentations where they would normally be drilled right through on a Zero seat, so I drilled them out, but that's nothing really. But there you go, and it was quite a fun little build, I have to say. I really enjoyed it, just throwing it together rather quickly. I mean, by day one I had most of the thing painted really. I did have a little trouble with the wing roots. They needed a little bit of filling. Other than that, pretty much textbook, shall we say. The canopy, Airfix's lovely one-piece canopy. It's nice and clear, but they've kind of got the framing wrong in that they've got these large radius curves in the corners, which aren't actually present on a Zero, which makes masking an absolute nightmare. I did try sliding the Humbrol Maskol into the corners, but that way, if you can imagine, there's the frame and there's the glass. If the mask all goes in, there's the... we're in extreme close-up here, by the way. So there's the frame, there's the glass, this is the sort of the edge of the frame. The Humbrol mask would come in and fill that area, so you'd have this edge that wouldn't be painted. Maybe that wouldn't be too noticeable on 1/72nd, but being curved, if it's square like that, and you just cut a wee bit of square masking tape and you slide it into that corner, fine. But curved, how you're ever going to cut that, I don't know. As it turns out, Edward actually do a die-cut mask set for it, so I ordered one of them on eBay. And believe me, that was a godsend. It came within a couple of days, thankfully, so I was able to get moving with that. It's more or less worked okay. There's one of the quarter lights at the front seems to be slightly off somehow, and yet I took great pains to make sure it was positioned properly, but I might be able to scratch some of that off with... I'm not sure if it's the quarter light or the main front panel. It's not quite right, but anyway. But the reason for this video, as the title suggests, the Zero going full circle. You see what I did there? You get it? Full circle, like a zero. Was that, if you remember when I made the first video about a Zero, for me, the one that I built in a tent. Now, I think if you live in Germany, you'll have never have seen this, because I used The Heat Is On by Glenn Fry and YouTube's weird algorithm thing that picks up on copyrighted music won't allow it in Germany for some strange reason. So that's you, Michael. You never got to see it. So yeah, it was, if you remember back, the wife and I were camping in Braemar, and she said, let's just relax by the tent, I'll get a book or a magazine and whatnot. So we went into the newsagent, to cut a long story short this is, and the newsagent in Ballater, which is the little Highland town next to where we were going to camp, had recently amalgamated with the toy shop, and he had this little stack of model kits, of which he had this Airfix starter set, and it was the old tool Zero, which really is a bad kit. But anyway, you know, the whole point was just to throw this thing together in a tent with what I had on me, and obviously it was a starter kit, so it came with paints and glue and a brush and whatnot. And then, if you remember, I came home and I ripped the thing apart and I rebuilt it, scratch building the cockpit and the wheel wells and the wheels, and I put a vac form canopy on, I stuck an engine in, I rescribed the airframe, and I bought a set of Tecmod decals for it, which enabled me to do one of these. As you can see, here's the little culprit here, one of these dark green colour schemes with all the chipping and everything. There you go, remember that little fella? There he goes. Who actually went on to win first place at the Glasgow show in the detailed class of 1/72nd, would you believe? And I was going to leave it on the campsite for some kid to play with and smash. But yeah, the Tecmod decal sheet. Now remember, they were a nightmare. They were beautifully thin. I thought, oh, this is going to be great, they're just going to look like they're painted on. But as soon as you started to move them, they just cracked and broke and everything. Which actually worked to my advantage with that one, because I was going for the chipped scheme anyway, so I was able to use that, utilise that effect. But also on the Tecmod decal sheet is the same aircraft that Airfix do in their starter set, which is the overall grey scheme with the blue sash. It's the registration is V103. Can't remember the name of the pilot. If I do remember, I'll put it sort of here. And that was also on the Tecmod sheet. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice to go full circle, as it were, and do the new tool, but in the old tool scheme, which is exactly what I've done. And here it is here. I must admit, I enjoyed this one. I'm happy enough with it, yeah. It took me about a week and a bit to do, which is quite quick for me. I mean, the thing is, there are aspects of each kit that I wish I could sort of take certain things from that and add to this, and vice versa, to make the perfect Zero. But you know what? I really enjoy making Zeros, so I'm going to keep making the little 1/72nd. There's a Hasegawa one I want to make, there's the Tamiya one I want to make, and there's also the fine molds one I want to make as well. And I think with the fine molds one, I'll go to town on that one. I think there's a few aftermarket sets for that, so that would be the one I'd really like to just, as I say, splurge out on. But yeah, this was fun. It was a fun little deviation from the Fokker, a little bit of light relief, shall we say. So anyway, until the next time. It'll probably be a few weeks before I get to the Fokker, because I'm going to be at the States with the wife. She's, as you know, American, and we're going across to visit family and friends. So I'll probably get the decals done before I go, and I'll get to work on the weathering when I get back. But happy summer everyone, unless of course you're down under, in which case happy winter. Cheers.